I'm in Tampa Bay, Memorial Day weekend, 86. Floyd Mayweather walks into the McDonald's. The man ordered 8,000 chicken nuggets. Now that's a champion. Now that's a champ. You don't know what you're talking about. Floyd Mayweather, he's gonna win this fight. That Pacquiao, he's a smart boy. He runs the town. Mayweather, the kid's gonna kick his ass in 6. The boy is a good fighter. He's a fighter. He fights the right way. So what do you want here, kid? I want to look like Michael Jackson. That'll be $35. Why you always all on my back? Why you gotta do me like that? Why you gotta act like a when I'm with you? Baby girl, because you treat me like I paid for the bed and never even slept in it. I paid for that crib and never stepped foot in. And now somebody else is eating all the pudding. Things change, now my dashboard wooden. All black Benz like a young Doc Gooden. Dark shades cause I'm stone crazy. Girl, we grown, stop playing on my phone, baby. All your childish attempts to make me angry fall short.
How the hell did he throw up after only like one Big Mac?
Jesus Christ, dude.
I'm like, I don't
Was there
care.
only one in that first scene?
I think so. He might have ate like a full meal, I think it was, but
If I were to play devil's advocate,
Sure.
I'd say it's probably because the woman he was living with was a vegan. And he was used to a really clean diet. That isn't to say vegan is a
I'm sorry.
That would fucking
True.
That would fucking.
But still, nut up. It's like one Big Mac meal. Like I could finish that when I was 7.
Yes, but dude, talk to like somebody who immigrated to the U.S. Ask
Sure.
them what they
Right.
thought of a hot dog the first time they smelled a hot dog cart.
Oh yeah.
Because it's not appetizing for them.
Oh,
They're
sure.
like, wow, these well-to-do people eat
probably
trash,
fucks
eat
up
utter
their-
garbage, and they're not wrong.
Oh sure,
Much like
sure.
When we go out and eat there.
And look, I'm not saying it puts a spring in your step, but I will say that it's like when you go from that clean for a while, it's not. I don't know. Man up, finish a Big Mac. Or if you're gonna throw up, don't film it. At least not yet.
Yeah,
That wouldn't have been as impactful.
Yeah, that's.
Oh gosh.
He's swinging at the corporate juggernaut.
Yeah, but then now all vegans think like when you eat if you're gonna stand by that statement, then all vegans think like, oh, if I have one, I'm gonna throw up. Like, no, Morgan Spurlock's a little bitch. So, all right. Anyways, as I'm eating fries in the mic, so I did finally see Star Wars last night.
Which one?
God, I'm not gonna lie. I was that out of it last night. It took me like 10 minutes to remember the name of the movie I was watching because I was texting my buddy about it.
One.
Yeah, I swore in my head I was like, it's not Star Wars Rescue Dawn. It's
Have you seen it?
Rescue Dawn? No.
That one is good though.
I didn't know that existed.
Rogue One.
Yeah.
I have not actually.
Okay. I like it a lot. They set the tone pretty quickly in that movie, and I was impressed with how dark it got.
Yeah.
And how different it was. Like,
It's really clunky, like, getting off the ground.
Yeah.
And it's probably like, somewhat of an unpopular stance on it. But I think if the new one, like the new trilogy they've been building, had a child with the prequel trilogy, I think it would be perfect. I think it would be set.
Yeah.
Like, if you have the style and everything of it, but you still have that animation of those prequels, because say what you will, there's still a lot of pretty in those prequels.
Absolutely.
That's like that's the whole reason I still rewatch them. I have no problem
The
with
story's
that.
terrible.
Oh, yeah.
Everything else about that movie.
Yeah.
Like, especially, like, the larger battle scenes. And was it the first one?
Yeah.
With, like, the clones and
Yeah.
droids, like, that battle scene is awesome. It's
Yeah.
really cool.
And, yeah.
I want it to actually be about a really courageous young architect that purposefully builds a flaw into it so that it can be taken out. Like, that's what I want the movie to be, because it explains why that manifold or duct is there.
Well,
they actually, you say that in jest, but that's kind of what this movie's about.
Oh.
Yeah, it's literally about
Spoilers.
spoilers. But
that's not Force Awakens. That's Rogue One.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Sorry. Have you seen Rogue One?
No, he's not.
Oh, you really didn't know that was the plot?
No.
Oh, I thought you were making a joke. Yeah, I thought you were.
I
That's
wanted it to
literally
be
the plot.
just by himself, just a lonely architect. Like,
Oh.
I'm going to put a flaw in this.
No, it's that Swedish dude
Who played Hannibal on
Yes,
the? He's on the
yeah.
series.
He plays
Hannibal.
The main girl's dad, and he is. You'll find out pretty quickly,
Yeah.
but he's basically blackmailed.
It's
into
honestly,
working
it's
for
weird.
the
I haven't
Empire.
seen it yet. I like the cast.
It's good.
Yeah, Rogue
It's-
One's great.
yeah.
Also, Rogue One, it's another very unpopular opinion. It has a lot less fan service, which I like.
Yes.
Because The Force Awakens, a lot of it really is
Oh, the
rehashing
whole
of the New
movie
Hope
is, like,
plot.
Its
Like,
existence is fan service.
Yes.
so
it really
we can't make
is.
that argument.
Yeah, but like, why get J.J. Abrams for that? I mean, I get it. It's like he's the only one that can get away with like it's an homage. It's an homage, but write something, dude. You help create Lost and a lot of things that are really cool.
I've had this conversation with people who grew up with Star Wars, like
Mhm.
saw it when it came out, and none of them will agree with me because I think they're just too biased. But I think Force Awakens is a better 5 than 5 was. Because before Force Awakens came out, I went and rewatched all of the old ones.
Sure.
And 5 is boring as fuck. It is so boring. And I'm glad that they rebooted that series with that movie and kind of setting the pace and letting you know. And it's not without its flaws. For
Oh,
sure.
yeah.
And it still is retreading old territory.
Yeah.
But I think it's a far better 5.
Yeah.
than
Also,
5 is.
ditch the stupid helmets. I every time I see these, I'm like, look, those work because that's the sci-fi they had back then.
Sorry, I keep saying.
Yeah.
4.
Oh, better than 4. Yes,
Yes.
I would agree. I was sitting there being like,
No.
I don't
Empire
really want to
Strikes
challenge him. I was
Back
like,
is good.
Empire Strikes Back's a pretty perfect film.
Universally,
But I'm like,
most there was,
we don't need to kick off
I
a
always
music
get that
podcast and
numbers
be
fucked
like, you know what? I am going to defend this.
Yeah.
No, you're wrong.
No, I would
Yeah.
be wrong if that were the case.
I also think Return of the Jedi is much better than people give it credit for. I think everybody
not bad.
hates on
Yeah.
that one. You like it a lot more as a kid because it is much more of like a kid one. Like it's
Yeah.
the best one to bring like children to.
Is that 5 with the Wookiees?
No, 5 is.
Or I'm sorry,
Empire
with the
Strikes Back.
Ewoks.
Ewoks, yeah.
Obviously, Wookiees are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Whoa, that's racist, Paul.
Because Ewoks is like that's the thing people complain about.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
it-
And I think that's why, like, everything that's always been, like, a cutesy thing, like, as a kid, I kind of liked it. Like,
when you hear
I didn't
about
mind Jar Jar.
why the Ewoks were there, it kind of makes you upset.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're that bad as, like, a plot
Yeah.
device in that movie. Like,
it's also just it's low-hanging fruit. It's
Right.
easy target for people because it's the same thing with Jar Jar, where people, like, people act like Jar Jar, like, really, like, ruins their life. I was like, it's just kind of a stupid part of the movie. Like,
can we all agree that that movie's just bad?
Yeah, like,
it's not
yeah,
Jar Jar's fault that that
yeah,
movie's bad.
yeah.
Not
Anyone
entirely
can
true.
Yeah.
get me a vinyl
Mhm.
of the music from the cheesy 1970s Star Wars cartoons for children.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
That would
send
be
me a
dope.
pigeon. Let
Yeah.
me know. I'm not,
Carrier
on the,
pigeon.
I'm not on the social media.
Oh, okay. Actually,
Falls
I would
off the
really
grid.
enjoy communicating
Me and Mike
with you
Tyson, you can reach my pigeon.
via a. I'm going to communicate with you via Matt's house hawk. Has Matt told you that he wants to get a house hawk? Because they're not allowed to have pets, but there's nowhere in their lease that says that they can't have birds. So he's like, I'm going to get a house hawk and I'm going to train it. I'm like, all right, sweet.
I want a filthy thing with talons.
Yeah,
Yeah. See if you can get a sugar glider in there.
Yeah,
I've slowly talked to a small handful of people that have ever owned one. I was like, wait, it's true? People actually get
Yeah.
sugar
They
gliders?
seem kind of cool. I don't
Yeah.
know, they
I
make
met a
some-
very cute falconer at what's that restaurant? They have the night shows.
I don't know.
Medieval times.
Oh, yeah, there we go.
Yes.
Sorry, I was like
I don't
thinking
know.
of some hip
I don't think
place.
this old lady would like that,
I thought-
but I could meet. I could set up the meet.
I thought you were.
I know a falcon lady.
I thought you were trying to imply that the place that you went was a strip club.
Yeah, I was thinking like a
Like
I
you
would-
were politely calling a strip club like a night show.
I would thought he was about like a jazz lounge. I was like,
Nighst.
I was like, if there's a jazz lounge that has falconers, I'm there. Like,
That sounds awesome.
I was like, no wonder Paul likes that acid jazz. He's
Yeah, no, I just misunderstood the genre. Like,
Yeah.
I showed up at a jazz club on acid,
Yeah.
and I thought there was a falconer.
And then you take forever to try to find this lady that doesn't exist. I'm going to tell Matt that you have a falconer that he can meet with. Beautiful guy.
All right, guys. Well, we're back, and spring has sprung. Thus, the topic of conversation today is songs of spring.
Rise
as
of
usual-
spring, if you
yeah,
will?
rise of spring, the spring rising.
Is that our first daytime TV compilation?
Yes.
Cool. So, as usual, guys, I'm your host, Sawyer Heppes, and I'm joined by.
Hello, Jordan Kolb.
Hello, Paul Kolb.
Cool.
Hello.
We've been adopted into the Church of Hello, so.
Hello, good sir.
We are full-fledged hellos.
What's good isn't professional enough.
Great tidings.
Oh, and before we jump right into the spring music, thank you guys for bearing with us. I know we've been MIA for a while. I'm sure people have been clamoring,
Absolutely.
for new episodes.
Absolutely.
They're just like, what, where are they in? I gotta get my music updates. I don't have the
You know
internet.
What it is? They keep bothering Paul, but he's not on Facebook.
Yeah, they're messaging him and like, why doesn't he get back? I'm like, sorry guys.
Sorry, guys. I don't like technology.
Yeah.
If you want to know the soundtrack of his life, though, you can.
we made a huge mistake by putting Paul's email as the contact email.
I basically use that as a spam filter. Message Paul,
Yeah,
and he'll take care of you.
Perfect.
Call me on the rotary.
Yes.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
Or carrier.
Yeah. But, before we jump right into the Sounds of Spring, last night you went to a Coheed and Cambria concert, right? How was that, man?
So, it was awesome.
Cool.
One of my favorite bands, Deer Hunter, opened. And they played for like 45 minutes, so it was kind of a smaller set. But they were the only opener, which was awesome.
Okay.
And Coheed comes out, and they played Good Apollo on Burning Star 4, Fear Through the Eyes of Madness, which is their, if you're unfamiliar, it's their seminal album. It's got Welcome Home on it, it's got The Suffering on it, it's got Willing Well Part 4. So it's like my favorite album by them, and I would say most of their fan base's favorite album. And they fucking killed it, man. They wrecked face in that show. They had really cool visuals behind them. It was like, I was expecting more like dark, like Dungeons and Dragons kind of visuals, but it was like very 80s sci-fi visuals, like bright colors and like straight lines and like weird vector graphics and shit. It was so fucking cool. It was awesome. A lot of BO though.
Well, funny enough, like Coheed and Cambria was one of those bands I used to just like rag on in high school. I was, that was why when you guys had hit me up at the concert, but there was a part of me that was like, I would like to give them a second chance because it's not that far out of like the wheelhouse of like stuff that I like, stuff from like 2000s.
I definitely, when I first started getting into guitar really heavy and like listening to like metal music, I used to hate that. So I was like, voice is really weird. I don't really like this punk like emo aesthetic at all. And then Welcome Home came out, totally flipped the switch.
Yeah.
Like, went back and listened to everything. Since then, I've always been a huge fan of theirs.
Yeah.
And they kill it, man. They're so good live. And the crowd was like really, really into it, but everybody was super nice. Like we were right on the mosh pit the whole time. But like, anytime somebody would fall or like lose an item, like they would pick each other up and like hold items above the crowd and like let people know like, hey, I have your hat. Like, please come pick it up.
So Coheed fans are not ruthless.
Yeah.
It sounds like a real Iggy and the Stooges scene.
Exactly. Yeah, there was no blood involved. No intentional blood involved. There was a lot of bad.
As gentle and kind as a Fugazi concert.
Yeah, exactly. So please, public service announcement. If you're gonna go mosh, especially with like a bunch of girls and like nice fellas, please shower. It's so disgusting. And to be fair, a lot of those dudes were like really, really sweaty. And I don't know if they're just naturally sweaty all the time, or if they were just in the pit. But
yeah, I bet that could be pretty nice. I legit thought their lead singer was actually a woman for like quite some time. I legit, and I remember like every little like email code like, nah, it's a guy. I'm like, I don't.
I mean, with his long ass hair,
it's like the Silver Sun pickups.
Oh yeah,
made you question a little bit. Made you a little confused.
Yeah.
When I heard Lazy Eye for
pretty,
the longest time,
pretty voice.
Yeah, right.
Until I watched the music video, I always thought that singer was a girl.
Yeah, you watch that, you're like, man, that girl's rougher than I expected looking.
Or like at first glance, like you could.
Yeah.
It's not out of the question that the band would like switch who's actually singing in the music
The
video.
bassist is female.
Right.
It could easily have been her voice.
Exactly.
But it's not.
Yeah. Well, in other songs like Beyond Lazy Eye, you're like, okay, that's definitely a dude. He just has a creepy voice.
The actually their bassist and the lead singer just had like a Freaky Friday situation. That's all. They switched bodies
just for that.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Cool. And then the Gorillaz album finally dropped. We've been talking a little bit about that off and on.
I want to know you guys' thoughts. I know, Paul, you haven't really listened to it all the way, or either of you really, but I want to know what you guys think, or at least in the lead up to everything for the singles or whatever. But I honestly feel like I'm the only person on the planet.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is like a little bit of an acquired taste, but I feel like I already have that like acquired taste for the like. You kind of of already have to have that for them. I
Right,
feel like to
right.
really, I mean, and it's not to say because you never want to like be like an album, be like it's just for us.
Yeah.
But if you know them and you know what they do,
Yeah.
and you're not just listening to like Clint Eastwood all the time, I think there's a lot to appreciate in this
Right.
album.
Yeah, I think you just hit the crux of our discussion earlier about it. Is Demon Days, that era? It was really danceable. It's really easy to.
Right.
It's accessible.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
But I think I told you Plastic Beach I wasn't as into, and moving forward, I think they're trying everything. It was
Yeah.
an experiment to begin with,
And
so they're evolving. Not everybody likes
Yeah,
that sound.
Yeah.
And I think I've read a lot about it, seen a lot of videos about it, and there's a lot of valid criticism there. Not to say that, like, I'm not saying this isn't a bad album, because there are a lot of things that aren't great about it, but I came out of it loving it. And it kind of felt like more of a collection of songs than it did like a cohesive Gorillaz album, which is why some people could get upset. But like, I don't know. I don't think the Gorillaz need to be this cohesive unit with like a conceptual background to it. Like,
Yeah.
I think they can just write good songs.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and they're the kind where they have a goal and they set out to meet that. I mean,
Right.
they deliver exactly what they're
Yeah.
like trying to accomplish.
Right.
And I think it's kind of one. It reminds me a lot of like Chance the Rapper's mixtape,
Yeah.
where people are like, "Well, it's not really him." It's like, "Well, it wasn't supposed to be. It's supposed to be sort of like a collaboration
Right.
type thing,"
Right.
which is also what they do really well.
Yeah.
And then beyond that, like I feel like this album is for the kind of person who gets in the car and would like put on M1A1,
Right.
and like that because that's where I'm at. That's like
Yeah.
probably still my favorite track
Yeah.
by them for a long time.
Yeah, and I think, I definitely agree with you in that some people may think this is a bad thing, or you could say that it's a little disingenuous to call this a Gorillaz album, because you don't hear a lot of Damon on this album. There's a lot of guest stars, but I think the guest stars...
Oh, absolutely.
I read a lot of criticism saying, like, the guest stars aren't being used to the best of their ability, and I don't necessarily agree with that. I think the Danny Brown feature is awesome.
Oh, absolutely.
And the De La Soul song is great. They're always good with him, and I think it needs more features. Like,
Oh,
I think
yeah.
Damon Albarn just needs to make his own thing and do like all features and him just orchestrate the whole thing.
Oh, yeah.
And maybe people would like it more if it wasn't a Gorillaz album. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
It's weird that people would complain about that. I mean, features have been there from the beginning,
Right.
and even though it always has a pretty big influence on the sound of that track, it always sounds like Gorillaz.
Right.
So, I mean, the fact that it wouldn't normally sound disjointed to people, or didn't in the past, is strange.
Right.
No, absolutely.
So I'd be curious to see what you guys think after you give it a full listen.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be one of my favorites this summer. for
Oh,
sure.
absolutely. And also, I think it really was one of those things that the diehard fans were kind of excited about it anyways, because it actually kind
Hype
of
was
dawned on me.
overblown, for
Yeah. Well, like, it actually kind of dawned on me. I was like, how many of my friends actually don't listen to the Gorillaz? You know what I mean? Like, I felt like we would be talking music and I would mention it, and obviously you guys are big fans, but like other people would just be like, oh, you know, I don't really listen to them. And like, they'd probably struggle for the name of like Clint Eastwood or whatever. They're like, that Sunshine song or whatever, right?
But also, you have to remember, most people you make reference, they're just talking about what got airplay.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes, sure.
Absolutely.
That is awesome.
But I would just think some of my friends that are like really into like Kendrick Lamar, and like, even though that's not like very much the same, I feel like one kind of like bleeds into the other.
Yeah,
But,
no, it's definitely. I mean, there's a lot of like Vince Staples on there, who's pretty big right now. Pusha T's got a verse on there. There's a lot of good features on there.
they brought back Dell too, didn't they? Like Dell wasn't he on there? I thought he was supposed to be, or maybe
if
not.
he is, I don't think it was listed.
Yeah.
Because I don't recall. I'm sure he is on there.
I should just put him in the band.
Yeah,
honestly,
it
that may be
blows
what
my
it is at this
mind
point.
that
Like,
he's not though.
Yeah.
Like for the longest time, I just kind of thought, because they don't even mention him. Do they mention him as featured on the Clint Eastwood track?
No,
He's not even billed as featured.
I'll double check that.
Yeah.
But I think you're right.
He's basically their Casey
But
Jones.
That's the other thing too, is if it's a group made up, if it's like essentially a super group made up of a bunch of established people already.
True.
Whether it's studio guys or actual
True,
headline
true.
artists, kind of already is.
True. I guess at this point they're kind of like the the Brat Pack applies too, but the Rat Pack, where it's just kind of like, you know, they keep adding more and more members throughout. And
Per Google Play, he is not.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like
it's
anytime
not
I
an
pulled up the
official
track,
source, but that is. I'm sure he has writing credit on it.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
He is not a listed feature.
because I was listening to Dell before that track. Like, I'm not going to pretend like I was like super into Dell or any sort of expert there, but
Right.
like I didn't realize for years that was like
Right,
Dell. Like
right.
all of a sudden, it's like, wait, that's Dell the
Which
Funky
is
Homo Sapien.
weird that like wouldn't even list him, because that's nowadays anyway. That's most of the reason why I listen to that song.
Yeah.
Is that fucking verse. But
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe back in the day they didn't think it was necessary, or I don't know. I have no idea.
Well,
That's a
yeah.
good question.
He's not a mainstream name.
That's true.
I don't think.
That's true.
People that know that genre, know good music, know of him.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I don't know. That's it's a really interesting distinction, and they're not the first to do that. I mean, I can think of plenty of examples that don't list the feature but still have crazy.
Oh yeah.
And sometimes it's done purposefully to kind of keep it a secret, which is dope. But I don't know if that was to keep it a secret because, like you said, back then he wasn't that mainstream. So still isn't now. But
you want to talk about his genre stereotypes? There was for a hot second, I was like, hold on, I should Google just to make sure Del the Funky Homo Sapien's still alive because you never know. He's actually touring this year, not a lot of places. Yeah, wow. He's only. I don't know if it's just the tour is like wrapping up, but there's only like 4 places left, and 3 out of 4 of them
he's still busy.
are Florida.
Is it Deltron?
Was that?
Is it Deltron, the band that's touring?
It just says it's just billed as Del the Funky Homo Sapiens. So I think it's just him going solo. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they probably have some.
The only reason I ask is touring when you have to account for an orchestra.
That's
true.
That
you might
is
choose
true.
5
Maybe
dates
they bill it
and
as
make it really big.
It's true.
Maybe they bill it as Del the Funky Homo Sapiens so they can get around that.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Also, I think kind of like you guys are just saying, it's like much to our chagrin. I don't think there's a lot of like high demand for Del. Del is kind of it's the same thing with like the Gorillaz thing where it's like it's just for those that know, it's a little something for us. All right. So Sounds of Spring. What do you guys have? We'll kick us off. I've got a few myself, but who wants to pitch out one of their first spring songs?
Would you go for
Tchaikovsky. Now, I'll start.
I can dig it.
I'll start with Ben Folds.
Oh.
There's a lot of my picks are old, but a song called "You Don't Know Me."
Okay.
It's
is
probably
it
not.
the Regina Spektor song?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's not one of his most reviewed or anything, but I always associate with spring.
Yeah.
I really like it. As a side note, if anybody likes Tim and Eric, they were in the video for it.
Oh,
Nice.
really?
It's actually probably the thing that brought me around to those guys, enjoying them a little bit more.
Okay. Yeah, I like that album a lot. That's what got me into him. Before I met Billy Ferguson, who's like super into them. That album.
Yeah, I like it. I can't say it's pop sensibilities because I wouldn't really
Right.
put that label on him, but there's something very approachable about
Yeah.
it. It's very stripped down, his style, and some of his singing just sounds like he's speaking to you.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
In the literal sense, like it's very
Yeah,
conversational.
no, I
think he's
style.
very-
He's like, "Hey, Paul."
Oh my god, this song speaks to me.
Yeah. He's like, "Yeah, you, Paul Kolb." Be like, "Okay, hold on." I see you there eating
when
chips.
Paul said he
From Brink.
Yeah.
literally spoke to me. I didn't know he meant himself. Not.
Get a good night's sleep. You got work tomorrow. Be a new form of like helicopter
Good for
parenting.
Ben, yeah.
Parenting your parents, just like work your way like in your tracks and give you advice. Be like,
Dude, he has a face that I would take his advice.
sure.
And then he takes his glasses off, and I'm like, "You're not authoritative anymore."
He looks like a
He
child.
drops like 20 years when he takes his glasses off.
Oh man! All right, how about you, Jordan? What do you got?
My first one is "Your Heart Is an Empty Room" by
Okay.
Death Cab for Cutie.
Oh, okay.
So
You mean Not Follow You Into the Dark?
No,
That doesn't.
no,
they wrote other songs.
it's not.
I
Yeah,
think they have songs that say the word
They do.
spring.
Yeah. Yeah.
That one, so this is actually really bad. I probably statute of limitations on this, but I pirated this album when it came out. But the issue was when I downloaded it.
Get them, boys! We got it on the record.
Swedish police here.
It turns out the album wasn't complete, but I thought it was. So this whole time I was just listening to an unfinished album with like skips in it and glitches, but like I wanted to listen to it that bad. So like 6 years later when I actually like bought the album or listened to it on music streaming service, I found this song and I was like, holy shit, how have I never heard this song before? I love it. It's just a really good kind of like sleepy nighttime spring.
Mhm.
It's still kind of cold outside music. So
Very cool.
it's
I
good.
get behind that. Before we jump into mine too, where would you guys say, like, just kind of in the initial pitch when I was letting you guys know about the topic, songs of spring, what like initially kind of hits you? Like if you had to kind of condense it down to either like a specific genre or at least just like kind of a brief summary, what kind of strikes you as spring music?
For me, it's usually spring almost feels like a not this year,
Mhm.
but it's always kind of felt like a continuation of winter.
Really?
It's still kind of cold for me.
Mhm.
I still haven't really broken out of my like quote unquote winter music.
Okay.
But I'll get more into like, especially on the warmer days, like more country stuff or like more like beachier music.
Okay.
As the spring kind of starts to grow a little bit.
So you see it more as like a cocooning as opposed to like a hibernation.
A thawing of the frost.
Fair enough.
Instead of like bright and flowery and stuff.
Okay, very cool. How about you, Paul?
Well, when you came up with the concept, I was thinking of, I approach it really broadly, just to give myself the most options. But I was actually telling Jordan earlier that just through doing this exercise, I came across, I guess it's an idea I've always had in my brain, but never really put a name to it. And it's not that I really believe it, it's just when I was making picks, I realized I associate spring and summer with kind of a poppier sensibility.
Sure.
And I associate like fall, winter with kind of a darker, more artistic kind of writing style, which it's kind of like saying a person that you're speaking to without problems couldn't be interesting.
Yeah.
Right? But I guess that's just kind of how it took me.
Yeah.
So the weather has a big effect on
absolutely.
the way I approach these.
Yep.
Absolutely. I'm definitely, the weather is like a huge thing, and I've even toyed with them on there. We'll add these tracks in here, and I'm going to start kind of expanding on the list myself, but I definitely like to create seasonal playlists. Christmas
all the time.
Yeah. Christmas season, obvious too, because just like when I want to listen to it, one, I can, as we discussed many months ago, condense it down to like the songs I just want, make my own personal playlist. And then separate from that, I even like having just like a winter playlist.
Right.
And the idea has actually been a little bit of a struggle with me, even though I sort of was the one that pitched it, was just breaking genres down to certain ones, because there is overlap for sure. Like there's no reason, it's like I'm not going to not necessarily listen to this in winter, but certain fall and spring are very similar because they're kind of transitions.
Right.
Like you said, probably like the cocooning thing, you might do the inverse going into winter, or the operas. But I also, very much to Paul's point, when the weather hits, I like to have like driving music, roll with the windows down. So mine's probably like a harder transition than yours. I feel like mine, I'm like, second weather is good. I've got like Beach Boys on the radio.
Nice.
Definitely with Paul, a lot of the poppier stuff too. And sometimes I'll even listen to that, like, some of the Taylor Swift stuff. Like, I'm not the biggest Taylor Swift fan, but I'm not going to pretend that like some of her cheerier songs, there's nothing wrong with like a 2-minute pop song, at least for me.
Yeah.
Jordan, do you consider yourself an audiophile?
Sure.
Okay, so when you're listening to music in the car, would you roll the windows down?
Okay, so yes, I would.
Okay, because I was thinking about it on the way over here. There's got to be a threshold for listening to what you're listening to versus that feeling of the wind.
Right. Yeah. No, I listen to music probably too loud when my windows are open because I like to hear the whole thing. But yeah, no,
okay,
I definitely
good.
Yeah.
I was thinking you might give me some answer about it. I keep the windows up at all times to preserve the integrity of the sound.
No.
There's a fine balance that's been struck.
Yeah. No, maybe audiophile is too far because I'm not that picky about bit formats and like if it sounds that great. But if the sound quality is off, it's definitely going to bother.
Oh, sure.
But if I'm driving in the car, I recognize that that's a different situation. I'm also not listening to music to listen to it. I'm listening to music just for having something to sing to or whatever.
Yeah.
Keep the voices out.
Yeah. Exactly.
Fill that empty space.
Yeah. It helps me drive.
As they say in that new Kevin Spacey movie, he's got a hum in the drum. He's got to drown it out.
Hard left now.
Which, actually, I do really want to see that movie. I don't know if you get it's like Baby Driver. The name's kind of dumb, but I didn't realize it was an Edgar Wright movie until now. I was like, okay, now I'm definitely going to see it, because that cast already looks pretty spectacular in the concept.
I would imagine the soundtrack is really good.
Oh, yeah, man. Well, because like at first when they're doing Radar Love, I was like, okay, cool. I love Radar Love, but like, who doesn't use that as like a driving song for things? Yeah. And then the second trailer, they had like this really extended one. They play a lot better stuff. And I was like, okay, this kid does have good taste in music.
Yeah. There's a lot of car-related classic rock songs.
Oh, absolutely.
There's a lot to pick from.
Oh, yeah. And like Supernatural also kind of ran the gamut on like things that even if they already weren't established as like, driving or working on your car songs, this brings a lot more kind of flavor to it all. But I digress. Mine, first track I'm going with, it's new, but man, did it set off the spring set. I know Jordan's listened to it. I've gushed about it. Have you heard the new Paramore Hard Time song? I almost said by Paramore, but
yeah, I think I have.
Okay.
It's very fun.
It's the single on the radio, right?
Yeah. They did just release another single that came out like just last week.
I like that one better than Hard Times. I like them both a lot. But...
For very different reasons. The problem is because I love a really, really catchy pop tune. Like once something's established as like an earworm, and you're like, it's fun, so I really can't hate it.
The Hard Times.
Yeah.
Always gets stuck in my head.
The video is really great, and it's just and she's he's just kind of dancing around and being cute and everything, and the band's being goofy, and they do all that like Saved by the Bell style of art. So there's like that neon, like it's very very 80s.
They're really going for that look. And
Oh yeah,
it sounds,
and it sounds like the Talking Heads
It sounds
too.
good,
Like
yeah.
it, you know what I mean? Like it's good, and but I agree. The other track is good. My problem was that it wasn't quite as catchy as Hard Times,
Sure.
but I agree that it is still
Yeah.
like the better song.
Yes.
It's gonna have much better
Yes,
longevity.
I will agree
but,
with that. Yes.
I don't know if you've heard either of them, Paul. You said you might have heard the Hard Times.
Yeah, I've heard both.
Yeah. Oh, you've heard both of them?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like them all right?
Yeah, I like them. I'm definitely.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that album.
Yeah.
Which 3 months ago I was not.
Yeah, it's worth the video pairing too.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Paramore kind of like I remember back in college, I liked them a lot more, but they definitely kind of fizzled out for me. And then this new album, I'm like, you know what? They brought it back
Yeah.
again. So
Were you? I used to hate them, but just based on principle. But like I think when we used to play Rock Band or whatever at Nate's house all the time. I think Misery Business was one of the songs. And I actually started to like that song in that basement. I was wondering if you felt the same or if you had always kind of liked them.
That's pretty much it. Because
Okay.
I hone in on the guitar part.
Yep.
Very
And
cool.
Rock Band kind of isolates that, and you're like, holy shit, this song actually is kind of
Well,
cool.
I also we talked about I like kind of high voice male singers,
Yeah.
Mhm.
but I like female singers a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Not that I really group it out that way.
Right.
I tend to. You'll run across guys that don't like songs sung by women.
Oh,
A
man.
lot of metalheads.
Absolutely.
I'm a
It's
firm
kinda weird.
believer. If you get a girl that can at least like match like the vocals, or, like the style of it, most cases, not all cases, I am always a firm like fan of like throw a woman in. If you can get like female vocals, most chances it's going to be better. I think, in my opinion, but.
Yeah.
Like I was listening to, I should pull it up. This actually would be a pretty good spring song. A little more mellow for it, but
Sure.
there's someone that does a cover of Between the Bars, you know, that Smith
Oh,
song
yeah.
that they do.
Yep.
I'm going to have to pull it up, but
Yeah, I'm not. I feel like I would probably like Elliott Smith, but I never really invested the
Oh,
time.
really?
Yeah.
It's good. It's another thing you kind of got to jump all in. Like, I find it, unless you're listening to very similar styles, you kind of want to listen to, like, just it.
Yeah.
But it's good
seems-
driving music.
It seems very, like, I have to be in the...
Oh, absolutely.
It's
100%.
Like some of it, like, the one time, one of the songs that I heard for the first time that I like a lot, I don't remember what it is, but I think it's from, what's that movie with Matt Damon and Robin Williams?
Good Will Hunting. Yeah.
And somebody, or maybe it's in the movie, I don't know.
You know what? No, you
It's
might
like
be
at the end
right.
of the movie where he's driving away, there's an Elliott Smith song playing.
I think you are right, actually. If
Okay.
not, there's an earlier scene I'm thinking of, but I
Okay.
forgot about
It
that.
may
You are
be-
right.
It may be an unofficial music video or something in an official capacity.
Mhm.
I remember liking that song quite a bit. I never really took the time to kind of listen to a lot of it. I know he's widely revered as one of the greatest songwriters of all time, so it's probably something I should get around.
Oh, absolutely. No, it's good stuff. Now, I will say, because I think they joke a little bit about it, like throughout 500 Days of Summer, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
But I believe my buddy after that movie was like playing it all the time, and I'm like, I can't. I'm like, the dude's too sad. I'm like,
Yeah.
I love him, but he's a very sad man.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
that's the point. But oh man,
No, I definitely recognize that that's the point, but
yeah.
sometimes it's too depressing.
Oh yeah.
Like I wouldn't want to listen to it today for sure.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
Man, this is driving me nuts. Trying to find that cover because it has a nice kind of almost like it has like a very very slight like country sound to it.
Okay.
But
Is it like
yeah.
a popular person that covers it?
no, it's a duo, and they do a whole album actually. This is gonna drive me. I really thought it was gonna be easier to find it, but of course, you know when you put cover into YouTube,
Oh yeah.
it's a million like independent
Especially
people.
that song.
Yeah,
it's gonna
like
be covered a million different ways.
yeah.
So.
I'll have to come. I'm gonna keep looking for this, but I will find it. That being said, I'll bring up another one for another spring pick for me. I think just right when that summer hits or spring weather kind of hits, it could easily be a summer song too. But I think it's one of their more spring soundings is Beach Boys. Wouldn't It Be Nice? I think Wouldn't It Be Nice
Sure.
it's just
Classic.
that yeah. It even has like the sounds of like it even opens up with sounding like an ice cream truck too. So it's just got that like nice weather
Right.
feel to it, and it just feels like you like kick down the door on winter. You're like, I'm over it. I want to be able to drive with the windows down.
Right. Definitely. It actually I actually listen to Pet Sounds like front to back. for the first time last year.
Believe it or not, I did the same thing. I definitely heard tracks from it.
Yeah.
And because like in high school, when you do that transition, like if you kind of get more into the classic rock stuff, everybody does that evolution of like, okay, I'm starting to listen to the Beatles. Now I'm picking up the Who, and I'm going through all that stuff. And for whatever reason, I think because I listened to like the Beach Boys when I was like really young. I remember I like broke with. I was like, I can't imagine a Beach Boys album being like that good, other than what I had heard. Yeah. And you do listen to Pet Sounds because that's where Brian Wilson started to like kind of go a little crazy. It's real good. It's real, and it's not incredibly different than what they do, but it is them at their best.
Right.
I mean,
it's absolutely,
it's good stuff. What's door number 2 for you, Jordan?
Door number 2 is No Surprises by Radiohead.
Okay.
It's off of OK Computer. Really come around on that song a lot. I used to hate it because there's just this like really like twinkly dumb guitar line at the beginning, but it really caught on recently, and I love it now. And it's a really simple song, and that album, as I'm sure most people are familiar with, it's just them at their best, and it's just they do so many good things on that album, and that it's a really good song in general. But it feels very much like thawing the frosts.
Yeah, shake off the cobwebs.
Yeah, definitely.
Very cool, very cool. By the way, I found it. I knew I would. It was Seth Avid and Jessica Lee Mayfield together.
Like Avid as in one of the Avid brothers?
Absolutely, actually.
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
yeah. I was actually, funny enough, that was the username I just saw there, and I just realized, like, wait, the Avid brothers.
That's cool. Okay.
Yeah, very, very good cover. It's not terribly different. Like, if it wasn't female vocals, it would almost feel like the same song.
Right.
But the two of them had, like, kind of a nice little, like, just light country sound to it. And like you were saying, like, female vocals, I'm always on board. Yeah. I think if you can get a really pretty sounding song, you can always make it prettier by adding female vocals.
Absolutely.
All right, cool. And Paul, what's another one that you had in your pick list?
I'm gonna pick an instrumental. So Khaki King has a track called "No True Masterpiece Will Ever Be Complete."
Okay.
And that word Jordan used earlier, thawing, is the best description I can use. I don't know. It just puts you in that right mindset of weather's still cold, but it's getting there.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And really, I don't know how to describe it.
It's such
if
a
you like
beautiful
that guitar music, you should look it up.
Oh, absolutely.
Thrilling track that she has such a way with writing instrumentally like evocative guitar music. I don't know what it about it like. Because I listen to a lot of instrumental music, but maybe I'm just biased. I don't know.
Yeah.
She just seems so out of every league. Like
I could not agree more. I mean, okay, so there's a whole genre of instrumental acoustic players.
Sure.
And I know for a hot minute in the 2000s, it was kind of... There's a particular
Andy
record...
McKee.
Right. There was this record called Candy Rat,
Yep.
and a lot of their artists are on YouTube, and it's still great. Like, don't get me wrong, those guys are touring, and they're all very good. But a lot of them fell into a really particular style, and in some cases it almost was more gimmicky with the techniques than really melodic.
Yeah.
I mean, it was cool to see people slapping the strings like a bassist, drumming on the body of guitar, because it's essentially the same kind of air pump as a drum.
Right.
But Khaki King, she has her own sound. The way the guitar weaves in and out with the band, the way that a lot of the time her part is a rhythm part. It's just a very melodic rhythm part, and she's not necessarily dominating the space.
Absolutely.
It's great.
Very cool. Yeah. And we'll kind of serpentine here. So, Paul, if you got another one you want to throw at us, I'll take next one on your list.
I'll go with a Bob Dylan track.
Ooh, you literally like plucked right out of my head.
Times they were changing.
Of course, man. Of course. You're also
song a lot.
You're gonna love the music, by the way, in this second episode of American Gods too.
Good.
Just throwing that out.
I've liked it so far.
Oh, they throw in a lot of little Bob Dylan references and some literal tracks, but like they just hit like literally the right notes on this
they
one.
use the original Between the Pines.
Yeah.
Nice.
yeah.
Bobby Dylan. That is someone that I really would like to acquaint myself with. So I've heard the hits. I've heard what's the Jimi Hendrix cover?
Oh, All Along the
Yeah,
Watchtower?
I've heard
Yes.
the original, and I've heard the hits, and they're good. And I feel like I'm old enough now that I could at least like a lot of his stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas before, I don't know if I could have handled his voice.
Throwing it back. I've got some CDs I can lend you, actually, because I hit Dylan hard in high school.
Daddy, what are CDs?
CDs nuts. What? And then that dad went to jail.
I never heard from him.
No, Dylan's great. It's actually it's great that Paul mentioned that because I was holding back on my throat out there, but I think spring you can listen to all those up-tempo Bob Dylan songs, those happy I'm gonna throw Tambourine Man on top of your on Times They Are Change, and Tambourine Man.
Please don't put Tambourine Man anywhere near me.
What? Are you not a fan, or is it just
all right.
okay?
I think it's overrated.
Oh, sure. But see, I don't. But then again, I don't know. I feel like I don't know anyone that ever really like talks about Dylan, other than like when it's like this sort of format, when it's like literally people sitting down and like agreeing to talk about music. But I don't know many people that listen to Tambourine Man. But I'm sure it's probably used in things.
He's still
like
universally respected and liked.
Yeah.
That I guess people probably feel that everything that's been said about him is already.
Oh
said.
yeah.
Well, it's also we have all these bands that we consider timeless.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking about this when I used the term classic rock, right?
Sure.
Like if I listen to this recording for posterity 30 years from now, I'm probably going to scoff at me saying classic rock.
Oh,
What
yeah.
I mean is like music written between the 1940s and, let's say 1975 or something like that.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
20 years from now, Coheed might be considered classic rock.
Well,
actually, it would be at that point.
As we've seen now, like if you play the quote unquote classic rock radio now, they're just slowly grabbing everything past a certain date and making it.
But I'm
classic
not.
rock.
My point isn't like the label on it. My point is that who knows how much things like the Beatles are going to hold up. Right now, like it's just, and of course they have their place in history. They established a lot of things, but how much longer are people going to talk about it when the generation that really loved it because their parents loved it dies off?
That's true.
It's interesting because they still kind of always have like a known presence. Like I still feel like every new decade of like people like in their teens, like you still people in like in their teens to their 20s, like rocking Beatles shirts. Now they may not know what they're wearing too.
That's true.
Yeah. But
it's like a lot of time that's what mom and dad listen to. Which is, as I'm sure your view. That's
oh,
how
absolutely.
A lot more music.
Well, and that was one of the whole big things. This is where my like history and timeline gets a little muddled on that, but that was supposedly the whole thing that I think it was Yoko ended up, I think, selling off the rights to some. But it might have been Paul. It could have been Paul that sold them off. I don't think it was, because I remember a joke about like Michael Jackson wanting to buy his songs, and he's like, I didn't want to send it to him.
I can survive on the strength of wings.
But all that aside, the point being that that they got sold out. That's the whole reason you hear all these Beatles songs on like commercials and stuff, is because like they basically got the rights to use all of them for advertising. So whether or not they'll be liked, it remains to be seen, but it will be present because there's still going to be a million car commercials and Target commercials that are going to always have like Hard Day's Night.
That might be why I'm unfair to them. A lot of bands of that era. I get tired of people telling me how much I should revere something.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it is all kind of ridiculous because it's all very. It kind of hits a masturbatory point.
It always does.
Absolutely. What else you got, Jordan?
So my last one for spring, band called Future Islands.
Oh yeah. I couldn't name any tracks, but I've definitely come across some stuff there.
They have a big song that got pretty big. That's dumb. They have a song that got pretty popular.
Okay.
When their album singles came out, it's called "Seasons Waiting on You," and the reason why I fell in love with it was the singer Samuel T. Herring has this super unique style and vocal delivery, and like it's this kind of breathy but like really powerful, like I would say baritone, maybe tenor. But anyways, that song's amazing. But later on, one of my favorite bands, Bad Bad Not Good, a jazz trio, worked with him to recreate the song in like this old school like bop style.
Sure.
So it's got this like real 50s feel to it.
Sure.
And the lyrics are the same, and I think they may have just used his vocal track straight up, but they redid the instrumental, and it's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Because the original one has the 80s synth sound. I love that.
Yeah. So it totally changes it, and it's one of my favorite, like, I guess you could call it a remix.
Sure.
But it's it's so good.
Very
you should
cool.
check it out.
Oh, that's amazing. Very, very cool. Cool. I'm gonna round out with there's a song I think I even actually talked about it at the podcast at one point. This song absolutely reminds me of spring. It's like just in my head visually, like the notes, everything, the vocals, female sound. It's that song New Soul by Yale Naeem. You may remember it. It was like back. I was in college. I think as a sophomore, so you guys might have been still like in high school at the time. But it was on that Mac commercial where like the Mac was like, and I think it was the Mac Air or whatever. And it was like unfolding, and it's that I'm a new soul came into this. Yeah, that one. Like I was like, I couldn't think of like a song that like more represents like spring, where it just like feels like flowers like literally blooming. Yeah, you can hear it build. You're like I don't want to. You know, you got to go back out of the real world again. It's a little frightening, but it's a little exciting. Like even the video is about them kind of like being outdoors and kind of that young like free spirited hipster kind of lifestyle there. But that's definitely one that I would put up there. Paul, did you have one or two more tracks that you wanted to throw in there real quick?
I just had a Snarky Puppy track.
Oh, sure.
Hell yeah.
So
is that literally the band, or did some like rude puppy be like, "Yo, Paul, put this on your list"?
I had to check a puppy earlier to make sure that puppy knows its place.
Yeah. I like puppies, but they could be snarky, man.
Yeah, just that biting, undercutting tone. Yeah, I like it. But they're actually, I'm blanking on the name of the actual band leader. There's this writer and bassist that put the band together, and he composes all the music, and then he gets a band of what I believe initially were like conservatory students. I could be wrong.
That sounds right.
But it's really, really neat. If anyone likes, I mean, it's world music and jazz. If anybody likes
League.
Michael League?
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
If you ever see, like, there's a Snarky Puppy show coming to your town, I highly recommend it. There's not a lot of seating.
I would love to go see them.
It's
Sure.
set up. They do this kind of performance in the round.
Oh, really?
Every time they're performing, they're actually recording an album. And the whole audience, it's limited because everyone gets headphones, everyone's hearing the actual mix. And, you know, the brass sections in front of them, and maybe the strings are behind them. And so the bassist is just directing the band, and it's really great music. Thing of Gold has a really nice spring sound to it, really upbeat.
And don't they usually only play, like, I don't want to say conservatories, but, like, really nicer sound? Like, they're not going to go play 9:30. Like, they like to play venues where they can control the sound.
Exactly.
See, that's great, too.
Yeah, it's because they're always recording, and then they'll do a double header. So the first night will be all their original music, and then the second night will be the same music with a bunch of heavy hitter guests.
Nice.
That's
we should go see that.
I would absolutely. Plus, I'm such a lazy man. Like even though a lot of like bands I like to see are kind of our standing room only situation, you can always sell me on a concert I can go sit down and watch, and especially if it's got that orchestra feel. Like it's like we live near the Kennedy Center, and hardly like not that it's bad, but I was like I want to go something that like definitely is like my style.
You're not alone in that sentiment, but I do wonder if music fans are getting lazier, because I have more and more friends who are just like, I don't want to stand at a show.
It's true. It's true. And plus, I think that helps you kind of conquer more. Oh, really? Yeah. Because, I mean, I think that also helps you go to more concerts, too. Because I think you should see both. I think you should go to ones where, like, dancing's encouraged. I think you should go to one where it's just a bunch of wallflowers kind of standing around with their hands in their pockets. And then I think you should go to ones where you can sit down. I mean, I've talked about that Eels concert a million times over, and I was like, it's another reason I like the Eels. Sit-down concert.
Yeah. The only reason I couldn't go to shows 7 days a week is because of my legs. Like, my feet get so tired, and I get cranky at the end of the night because my back hurts and everything. And it would be awesome to mix it up.
Yeah.
Sure. I've only been to a handful of sitting shows, besides like pavilion shows, but.
It was one of the big silver linings of back when I used to work in hotels, is like I got used to being on my feet like all day long, which is great, because once you do that, you can like you actually like enjoy sitting, and it's just a nice like minor little workout like accessory throughout the day. Because even now, like in my room, I just got an Xbox One and everything, and I was like playing video games, and my chairs are kind of farther back. You've seen how it's all set up; it's a little farther back. It's more for like lounging and watching TV, but video games you want to be up close. So I was like trying to stand for a while, and I was like, you know what? Fuck it, I can't. I pick that lazy boy up, move it across the room, and I'm like, there. It looks goofy as hell in here, but I'm comfortable, so who gives a fuck?
Well, when you put it that way, it kind of makes a little more sense to me. Because if the purpose for that form of entertainment is immersion, well, who's to say that's not the same thing with music?
Oh,
right?
totally.
You can create your own visuals.
Oh, totally. And plus, I mean, that's also the band knows what they're doing. I mean, they're clearly trying to create that experience, too,
You're in a moving mass of people, you'll be reminded where you are anyway.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's really easy to be taken out of
Right.
Oh,
right.
sure,
reality.
sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of taking out of reality, and we'll be wrapping up here in just a minute. I don't know if you guys have saw the Bob's Burgers episode. It's just another week or two ago. I highly recommend it.
No.
It's Bob's birthday, and he's just like any other surly dad, or it's just like I whatever. Dads just kind of know that like when it comes to my family planning my birthday, it's easier to just stay home and have cake or whatever. And he talks about there was like a laser show with one of those like kind of like concept albums. It's very much like the old prog rock with a little bit of like Proto Men now and stuff. And he's like talking about this band, and of course Gene doesn't know who it is. And he takes his son there, and it's his first laser show, and he kind of like freaks out because kids, when you're not used to like senses like being overloaded like that. And the whole episode is him like teaching him about the the whole band and their album. And she's like, "Actually, this sounds kind of cool. Can we like sneak back in?" It's it's one of those really good like father son episodes, and especially if you're like music heads like us, there's a lot I think you guys can appreciate it. I definitely recommend it. And it's something I want to give a shout out on the podcast. Not that Bob's Burgers needs my business.
Corollary to that, though.
Yeah.
I am very much looking forward to, in the probably far future.
Sure.
But VR shows.
Absolutely.
Something like, I think probably start out with like the silent disco. Like the band's actually there, but you're getting the visuals in your head and you're getting the headphones. But
man.
Something where you could have a portable headset would be really.
Oh
cool.
yeah.
I'm picturing those Japanese pop star
Hatsune Miku. Yep.
Yeah, Hatsune
Oh,
Miku.
man, yeah. Oh,
That's
God.
what Jordan
Absolutely.
wants.
Absolutely. Bring her on, baby.
All right, cool. We'll round this up. The last thing I want to throw out there for you guys to just kind of throw in kind of like a broad reach for people, if they had to put in like a Pandora station, or if you were to kind of do like a quick playlist of things, kind of lock in on a band. What would you guys go with like spring wise? For me personally, just to kind of set the mode here for you guys, I'd probably say like I think ABBA has a lot of good like spring sounding tracks. Fernando is a song I shamelessly listen to all the time. If you've not, it's got a great build. A lot of things there, but ABBA and like a lot of like 80s female power ballads, I think really serve like Heart. Cyndi Lauper, stuff like that. A lot of Cyndi Lauper, I think, is great for spring too. But that's mine. How about you, Jordan?
I'd say probably the general aesthetic of Death Cab for Cutie.
Sure.
Probably personifies my feelings towards spring. So that station is probably a pretty good lane.
Very cool. All right, Paul.
No, you said Death Cab. Now you fill time.
There's this one time.
It's all right, Paul. We'll let you go second next time, so that way Jordan has his answer stolen.
Yeah. I honestly, I can't go wrong just recommending any Khaki album.
Yeah,
sure.
I don't know why. I associate with spring. Could be winter, but
yeah, she's got a lot of like good, sleepier, but also upbeat stuff too.
Yeah.
Very cool, very cool. Well, if you guys at home liked all the music picks that we threw out for you today, there's also a few more others. Like I said, we got a springtime playlist going on. I called it Springtime Ain't for Hitler. So there's a few tracks on there. I'm going to be getting up those ones in the next day. They should all be on there by the time this episode drops.
Sweet.
So if you guys want to, give us a thumbs up. If you liked everything you listened to, please subscribe to hear more. We just want to know if people are enjoying us. Tell us to stop. Either way, just
like, share, subscribe.
Only if you like it, though, of course.
Carrier pigeon.
Yeah.
No, please share if you don't like it. We still need the views.
Well,
Click on this shit right here.
Well, as you guys know, when you come for the pancakes, you stay for the beast tips.
Woo!
Sawyer Heppes.
Jordan Kauffman.
Well, Kolb.
And have a good night.
Which only fuels the rage you have because you have nothing. Understandable, I'm shining brilliant with 5 Brazilians. There were times I used to hide my feelings. Now I'm butt naked in a Lamborghini and motherfuckers can't see me. Wait till this chick see me on TV. I make this look easy. Who would've thought I hit you right back? Why you always all on my back? Why you gotta do me like that? Why you gotta act like when I'm with you? Yeah, baby girl, I'm blue. So many women wanna call me baby, and you wonder why the Some would say that I'm the symbol for sex, and others would hate, but I don't give them no breath. Go on a date, I'm at the crib with the chef, and that's me. And you could order whatever. The specialty is white snake and underwear sauce. You could probably catch the summer where it's sunny next.
This is a sticker! You, money in the bag, you make me some f***ing cheese fries! Who the hell are you?
And I understand it's only cause I'm popular. I'm getting topped off in the front row of the opera. As Bocelli sings, the celly rings. I gotta go, you'll never know how good it feels to lay in bed with King. I'm not exactly flawless, but I'm gorgeous, just like a horse is. I know the thought of me succeeding makes a lot of people nauseous. Still I'm on the back of the boat, taking pictures with the surface. Why you always all on my back? Why you gotta do me like that? Why you gotta act like that when I'm with you?
I hope you get a paper cut on your tongue from a razor in a paper cup. I hope every soda you drank already shaken up. I hope your dreams dry like raisins in the baking sun. I hope your is all saggy in your early 20s. I hope it's always snow in your driveway. I hope you never get off Fridays and you work at a Fridays that's always busy on Fridays. I hope you win the lottery and lose your ticket. I hope it's Ben and Socrates poop all up in your kitchen. I hope the zipper on your jacket gets stuck and your headphones short and your charger don't work and you spill this on your shirt. I hope your tears don't hurt and I can smile in your face. Cause my loss is how Delilah changed my locks to a fade. I hope you happy, I hope you happy, I hope you ruin it for a reason. I hope you happy.
Why you always all on my back? Why you gotta do me like that? Why you gotta act like that when I'm with you?
This is my band, Sexual White Chocolate. That was beautiful.
Seasons
Hey